Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, today is apparently the big day, which is the day that the rapture happens, which means there should be a lot of confused pets, there should be missing airline pilots, there should be piles of empty clothes, just like we've imagined for a really long time. But if you're anything like me, this was something that you learned about all your life and something that you were raised, talking about and also talking to your friends about. So, it's one of those things that I think we always kind of take for granted when it comes to like doomsday culture and what to do when the end time comes. And if you're raised in an environment where that's part of the common conversation, it's a whole lot different when it comes to I think that level of fear that a lot of people are exhibiting and that we're seeing just in general. So growing up, I was always told that Jesus was going to come back like in my lifetime. I didn't know if I was going to make it to adulthood. And that was something that was always in the forefront of my head. What if something happens and I don't make it to heaven or Jesus comes before I can do any of the things I plan to do? I didn't know if I was going to make it to college, had no idea if I was ever going to get married because it was one of those things where he's coming soon. How soon? We don't know, but soon. And so this whole soon thing has been like a long time coming, especially when you're raised in an environment, that was really based on a big disappointment that he would come on October 22nd, 1844. And clearly that didn't happen. So when it comes to the whole soon nature of it, I know that time can be relative, but 1844 was a really long time ago, and I don't know if we're closer, then now than we are then. Not quite sure about that. So, I think in general we got to be really careful about some of these doomsday cultures because it really just gives this whole idea of like fear and what's going to happen next. I like that people are taking inventory of their lives and kind of being self-reflective as far as what they've done over the years and what kind of impact their lives have had. I think there's kind of a positive silver lining part of that when it comes to just that whole idea of just taking assessment of the choices that you've made and the decisions that you've had and the friends and the relationships that are important to you. There's something really valuable about taking inventory of your life, and that's something that a lot of people don't always take that time to do really systematically and kind of in the framework of like a larger picture. However, when it comes to the whole idea of like the fear and what happens next, I think the common sentiment is that number one, we really don't know what's going to happen next. Obviously, the Bible says no man knows the day or the hour, but the Bible also says that God doesn't do things unless He reveals it to His prophets first. So that means that there may be a select few that have that happen to them. But I think as we go throughout the day today, we're going to see that a lot of people are staying put, and I think a lot of people that, may have thought that they may have been, going up into the air or vanishing into thin air, they may most likely, I think they actually will find out that unfortunately that they may not have made the cut when it comes to the secret rapture. So I think the whole idea of the secret rapture is a little bit far fetched, especially because it's something that, we've had over and over again over the years. This isn't the first day somebody has set a date that Jesus is coming back or that, people are going to be vanishing out of thin air. We had the Left Behind series that, really opened our eyes and really made people kind of think about end times in like a theoretical but also theatrical context. And so, with that type of background, especially when it comes to certain sects of Christianity, those things I think come to the forefront, especially when we have these conversations. There's so much trending on social media now about like what to expect and what to do next. I've seen pictures and videos of people giving away belongings. They've given away large amounts of cash. They've given away things that are important to them to the people they think are going to be left behind because clearly, if they believe that they made the cut, then that means there's friends and relatives that may not have made the cut, so they want to make sure that they're taken care of. People are taking out life insurance policies and making final decisions in a way that is a little bit alarming, especially because they're making permanent decisions over something that may not be as permanent as they have maybe thought about in the future. So let's hang in there. Let's see what happens. Let's remember that number one, fear can be really a powerful thing. It's something that can cause us to not act rationally. It's something that can, make us make choices that we regret later. Also, it's something that, can simplify the chaos. If you do believe that you're going to be secretly raptured, that also means that it kind of takes away from the present moment because you're like, what's the point of doing a lot of things? Because if it's not going to be here tomorrow, why am I focusing on that? So, it's something that can I think add a lot of peace to someone's life if they believe that, it's not going to happen. I don't have to plan for tomorrow because today I'm leaving. That also means that you have some peace about there. There's less things to worry about. But also, let's keep in mind there's a really big traditional piece of this. There's a historical piece of people believing this or putting a certain date on Jesus coming back for years and years, even going back to 1844. But even past that, there's been times that people have believed that something big was going to happen on a certain date. It reminds me a little bit of Y2K, if you remember that, where everybody thought that, when the clock turned to midnight, everything was, going to go haywire. And it turns out it wasn't as big as people thought it was. So, one thing that I've learned kind of over my lifetime is just the kind of it's just the idea of like holding things loosely just because we really don't know. And I think it's so important just to treat people with kindness and to put out good in the world, because regardless of whether or not the secret rapture is happening, we all have to die at some point. And so making sure that you're putting out good things and that you're treating people with kindness, care, and compassion, I think goes a long way when it comes to like your ledger on the heavenly books. So don't be afraid. We'll see what happens. But thank you so much for watching. And if I don't see you on the next video, know that I've been raptured. Take care. Have a great one. And also, last but not least, if you do have pets and you do plan to go, please make sure that you find your pets a good home. There's so many pets out there that don't find good homes. So just make sure you're taking care of those responsibilities that you already have. If you do plan to be gone, make sure that, little Fido has a place to go. All right, that's it. Have a good one.